Factory 5 is a single-player MMO. Actually, this game has marriage mechanics, so let me try that again. Rune Factory 5 is an MMO for lonely people.
Alright, so we boot up the game and watch a trailer that shows that the artistic director really liked Persona 5.
But our aim is getting better!
Here's the story. There's a little girl walking through a forest and then a field mouse appears and it's gonna bop her on the head. Oh, at last! This is my chance to use heroin! Okay, so I gotta kill this sheep thing. Do I? He's not bothering no one. Let's just go. I mean, come on, he's cute. Rune Factory, do you really want me to kill your series mascot? I mean, maybe I could raise him like Sonic.
Don't worry, buddy.
Well, we're not getting anywhere like this. I guess it's time for some senseless murder. Alright, now we've got some frisky customers.
Yosh.
Alright, 3 murders of peaceful creatures later and we're back in town. I don't know about the other Rune Factories, but much like number 4, you are an amnesiac that they immediately find a way to take advantage of by plowing their fields. Hey, farming tutorial. Put this here and put that there and whoops, I ate a weed. Priscilla, help! I'm gonna die! So next we have to go and meet all of the denizens of Reigbirth, which I'm pretty sure is not how it's pronounced because every single time a voice actor said it, I repeated it almost confused and offended.
To the light! To Reigbirth!
The frick is a Reigbirth? So, as mentioned, this game has marriage mechanics, so we gotta go out and meet the peoples. However, this is a marvelous game, so the odds are is that the hottest females are not available. And what do you know? Simone Misagi and this chick are not available. You know what is available, though?
On all levels, I am a wolf.
This character is disturbing. First off, I can't even say her name. Second off, I know I made some jokes in my Rune Factory 4 video saying, oh man, people who go after Amber are creepy weirdos.
And actually, I still stand by that. But anyone who goes after is on a whole nother level.
Take her small stature off the table for just a second, okay? She doesn't have the ability of speech. She just kind of makes grunts and growls and people understand what she means. And at one point in the game, all of the girls describe their ideal date. Wolf Chick says that she would want to play tag. She doesn't have speech comprehension, so there's no way she's gonna be able to grasp consent. Marvelous Interactive. Why have a woman when you can have a child? It's okay though, because they do have some hot dudes. I mean, it's the same problem as the women. You can't get the ideal physical specimen. For example, I walked into the blacksmith and saw this beefcake, and then the screen went black for like the bachelor cutscene, and I thought, no way. It is so unlike this game to offer up a fully mature okay, yep, that seems par for the course. Actually, we do have one very strong candidate. Like, while the little wolf girl doesn't really suit me, the one thing I can say about the wolf man is,
Oh, hold on, shoot. Am I gay?
The other characters that I like are Paul Emo, because, you know, I have a man crush on everyday St. Coquille, and Hines. It's just something about that face. But as for the bachelorette I'll be fishing for, I guess I'll literally be fishing for her, because one of Lucy's favorite things is fish. Well, then we do a little bit of the story, they have me fight some bosses, but one of the early quests is to kill 3 griffins. What does this game expect from its players? So I go out killing monsters, I'm having a good time knocking out these little critters, and then I kill one, and then the very next thing to my auto-lock on targets is something called a high orc. Look at the little damage I do 0! You put a freaking high orc right next to the baby chipmunks? And to get to the griffins, you gotta go way past the high orcs for quite a ways. And would you believe it, but the monsters that are way past the high orcs, I can't damage them either. Oh, and they one-shot me. Fantastic. I'm gonna disengage. I'm gonna go fight the Bellsprouts instead. Oh, great, now I'm paralyzed. At least the dash dodge is like one of the funnest mechanics. I'm pretty sure that it shatters any attempts of game balance that the designers may have wanted, but joke's on them because undermining them is a ton of fun. Okay, so paralyzed, I can still dash home just as fast as it would have been walking, and also it grants invulnerability, which which is decent in fights, but it also works on environmental damage. For example, there's this one dungeon with like these damaging geysers and they want you to walk around them, but I am too lazy for that, okay? I will just invulnerable dash wherever I darn well please. And the dash kind of breaks the magic system. Okay, there are only like 2 spells that I used. Okay, the first one was this Aqua Jet. You shoot it out and if the enemy survives, they'll get hit every single second. But if you want to just barely tap an enemy with magic, you'll need to go through a lengthy startup and follow through animation, okay? Or, as soon as the enemy is hit with the magic, you can just dash to cancel it. And here's another late game example, okay? I find a spell called Gatling Comet. Okay, that sounds awesome, and trust me, it is. Okay, so you shoot out a fireball, and then it pelts the enemy with, I don't know, like maybe 7 comets, and initially it locks you into place for like the entire thing. Or, hear me out, you shoot the first fireball, and then you dash, set up another fireball, and then you dash again, and then you set up another, like you can have 3 Gatling guns pelting an enemy at any given time. It is awesome. But that's not to say that all spells are good, because here's the thing, this game is critically stuck in its 2D roots, at least as far as the spells goes. I would say most of the melee weapons were reworked quite well, except the spear. Oh my gosh, it does not work anymore, but the spells do not reach far enough. An over-the-shoulder fight is so different from a heads-up perspective. You know, you need to use different ranges in those fights, and you use these unaltered spells that just don't work anymore. It's super obvious that they're sticking to their roots, because whenever you're farming and during the Bean Toss Festival, they change their camera's perspective because it doesn't work in 3D anymore. But I really do like the farming in this game. It has another amazing innovation that I haven't seen in other farming simulators. Okay, so when you're watering or plowing, once you're done with the square, if you press B again, you'll just snap to the next tile, and it is very satisfying. But now for some gripes. One is switching tools. So you bring up the menu, you go and you select your tool, and you press A, you're gonna be holding it rather than equipping it. So you have to press Y, watch an animation, press B, watch another animation. It's a minor thing, but it happened to me every time for like the first 25 hours of this game. And early on, it did result in Priscilla stealing my hammer. Another thing is customizing your house, okay? This ain't Animal Crossing, okay? You can place your furniture anywhere, and that means you don't get no grid. I hope you don't have OCD, because the time it took for me to get these items lopsided was astronomical. Oh, also, I love that you have to have a different table for every different kitchen utensil. Oh, and if you have Rune Factory 4, you get 2 additional closets. I'm sorry. I just really hated how jagged my furniture had to be. Also glitches. The game crashed like 3 times. I think if I can just yes. Stash. Eat. Place. Move. Die from exhaustion. But anyway, I built a barn, I get a Bessie, and I get a Henry. Also, I acquired one of the funnest weapons ever, the gauntlets. Okay, it ain't much different from the dual blades, except if you press A in the middle of your combo, you can pick up pretty much any foe, and then you can jump into the sky and slam them in the ground, doing massive damage to all the other foes and the portal. Honestly, this never got old. In fact, the boost from the slam attack was actually enough to harm the griffin. But the funny thing is, it takes a little bit of RP every time I use that attack, and I run out of RP before I can even kill. Why was I commissioned to kill them so early in the game? So the story just kind of happens, which adds in more characters like a princess and a god and an uptight elf chick. Yeesh, this is turning into My Bride is a Mermaid. She looks like Akano, she behaves like Mawari, and that's just straight up Sun's voice actress.
I'll never forgive you. Now apologize to Nagasumi.
Alright, whatever. I haven't really been keeping you privy to the story because ultimately it doesn't really matter, but I do need to mention that there's this guy named Oswald, and we need to apprehend him because he's got a dragon.
King Dragon sends his regards.
But we do catch him, and then we end up cutting him loose, and he sends me on another mission to save one of his people. And I do this by going through a dungeon with Shantae music. Oh, and here's a little part of the video where I compare songs from the games to other songs I've heard before. Like, I know it sounds like Shantae music, but what it actually sounds like is... This music was reminiscent of Dragon Ball. And the home song sounds like...
A name which has fascinated everyone, a name which is there for all to see.
And finally, the nighttime song sounds like...
Back before you, I was crying.
But let me be honest, the music in the dungeons is so good, and just look at the concept art for these areas. These are phenomenal, and I think they translated beautifully into the game. Honestly, combined with the music, this is some truly stunning art, top notch. Oh, a side note though, I have heard the home song so much that if I ever hear it again, I'm going to find the nearest object that is as long as my head and shove it in such a way that it pierces both of my eardrums. I'm hoping that it's pencil just for ease of use, but I will use like a pickle jar because I refuse to listen to that song anymore. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the Prince Ali dungeon. Okay, so I kill all the beasts, and then I kill the dragon thing, and we saved Oswald's friend. And it just happened to be another bachelorette, and... Okay, it looks like Marvelous made the perfect character. The dress, the hat, the heart eyes. Not to mention, she's got that smile. She's got that smile. She is completely obsessed with your character, which is perfect because I am completely obsessed with her. Oh, and the feather in the cap is she is a succubus.
Do you know what succubi are?
Let me check. Succubi. Aha! Succubi are female demons that sneak into men's rooms in the dead of night, and then they... Nice.
And now I'm kind of at a loss. I could go story beat by story beat, but this kind of sounds boring to me. Pretty much, Livia says, go into a dungeon. And I just punch, grab, and slam every monster into the ground until there's one left. And then I say, so long, Gay Bowser, to the last one. Then I go to the boss, and then I dash dodge around him while firing Gatling meteor at him. And, just repeat that 20 times. And that's all that happens. I will say that I was having a pretty bad time with this game for like the first 20 to 30 hours. I remember one point I was in a dungeon and one of my friends started playing Rune Factory 4 and I was jealous. I'm like, aw, I wish I were playing Rune Factory 4. And it was at this moment that a memory unearthed itself. I didn't actually like Rune Factory 4 during the first 20 to 30 hours. But slowly that changed and by the end I really liked it. And I'll say that about this game too. Also in that dungeon, I decided to recruit myself a monster to help me fight, because it had a top hat.
Indubitably! Oh, bother! Yes, indubitably!
And I loved having him follow me around because he was quicker than my normal walking speed, however his traction sucked, which just meant that I got to Tokyo Drift everywhere.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go.
Anyway, I went through the story. The final fight was just pretty incomprehensible. All I did was dash dodge around and Gatling meteored him until he stopped moving. And all in all, the story took about 45 hours to beat. Alright, I guess all I gotta do now is marry my little succubus pumpkin, and how long did that take?
Actually, I can think of one more problem with Rune Factory 5.
The days in Rune Factory 5 are too dang long! In the early game, they were a little over 45 minutes per day. But in the late game, after I'd beaten the whole thing, the days took an hour and 15 minutes. It took 2.5 hours every time I wanted to pass 2 days in this game. It was repetitive!
I ended up having to put movies on in the background. I remember there was one day where I watched both Avatar and Your Name, 2 of my favorite movies ever, so I guess you could say it was the best day of my entire life.
I decided I want to get a lot of, what are they called? Prince points. And the best way to do that is to kill bosses. So every morning I woke up, I watered my field, and cooked anything that I could with my vegetables. Then I went to the chicken and cow area and harvested like extra eggs and milk, and then I cooked all the milk and egg recipes that I could. And then I went and I killed like 90% of the bosses. And with endgame stats, I killed them in like 10 seconds. Honestly, I could kill all of them in 2 seconds, but when they reach half HP, they get invulnerability until they can do a little animation that signifies that it was the second phase of the fight. Then I harvested a bunch of aquamarines, and a bunch of rubies, and a bunch of sapphires. Oh, by the way, once you unlock the area called Everlasting Darkness, you can harvest these rocks every day that drop multiple pieces of light ore, which sell for upwards of 1,500 a pop, so you'll never be hurting for money again after that. By the way, what even is the point of money in this game, okay? I ended with over 2 million, and there's not a thing for me to spend my cash on. Anyway, with the gems, I made a bunch of rings, and all my gold I used to make a bunch of golden hoes, but, you know, even after 100 hours in this game, I wasn't even a third of the way to being able to make the highest level tools. After that, I would head to an area with a lot of lumber and stone, because I had it in my mind that I'd be able to buy all the building upgrades in this game, but after 100 hours, I had less than 3,000 pieces. And even a single upgrade takes 4,000, so yeah, that didn't end up happening. All in all, it might sound like I didn't like this game, but my favorite thing to do in video games is make numbers go up. And boy oh boy does Rune Factory have that in spades. Would you look at that number go up? Oh, that number went up. Oh, that number went up! So what else happened in the game? I guess the best parts of the game happened in the game. I courted Lumilla, and then there was also festivals in the game. Our most famous, or infamous elixir is the love potion. But even if I got my hands on one, I think I'd worried about the ethics of actually using it. Hey, Ludmilla, here's your daily gift. Go ahead and give that a swig. Of course, confessing my love for her was a bit of a pain, and oh, this is another thing that I really freaking hated. You have to watch everyone's heart events, and unfortunately, they warn you on the map where they are, but this just meant that I avoided Polemo for like a good whole season. But I forgot that I was like in the middle of Reinhardt's events, and it's not just like one cutscene, it's several cutscenes in a row. So Ludmilla just wouldn't accept my love until I went and talked to Reinhardt. Like, for example, check out this ludonarrative dissonance, okay? Whenever you're ready to confess your love, I'll be right here waiting.
I love you.
Ooh la la, you are so cute. I love you too, darling. Oopsies, I Oh, by the way, I'm gonna give a tip here to anyone who rightfully tries to romance Ludmilla. Ship one rainbow trout. Okay, for her favorite thing is grilled rainbow trout. But after spring, you can't catch them anymore. However, Hina sells fish that you've shipped before. Unfortunately, I gave all of my rainbow trout to Ludmilla, so for the better part of this game, I had to give her her second favorite item. The prelude to love. And festivals. Actually, now that I think about it, they're just like fun little 1-minute mini games you get every 10 hours. I mean, they really stick out in my mind, but they are just such a small part of the core experience. I guess all I can say is, re-gifting cookies on Valentine's and White Day is an excellent way to rack up friendship points. The Flower Festival is a freaking scam, because there ain't no way you're gonna be dating a character before Spring 19. And in the eating contest, only eat the melons. The multiplier that you get just makes you impossible to catch. Maybe at the end you can eat the golden turnip, but melons, man. Yeah, alright, I guess my marriage to Ludmilla and a final glitch to cap out this video. So, when you show off the engagement ring, you are immediately whisked away to your wonderful wedding ceremony. You and your special someone walk around the village and all the characters congratulate you, and some even offer you helpful pieces of advice.
Right. Now you two are separate ingots of piping hot metal. So keep swinging pure and true, shaping your family into a single work of art. The longer you pound it, the more impurities will flake away, leaving a bond of pure steel.
Darling, feel free to... Alright, and now for the glitch. Simone got ready to marry us, the screen went black, and it kinda just stayed black. Huh. Alright, cool. I mean, like, the Switch isn't frozen, obviously. What the heck? Actually, I'm gonna assume that Ludmilla killed me because it says here that succubi have the tendency to do that on the wedding night. Anyway, this is Rune Factory 5. Much like Rune Factory 4, once the Stockholm Syndrome sets in, it is a perfectly fine game. Hey, Okay, so I'm almost done playing the game, but I had to record right now because I just looked at myself in the mirror and I got the stupid hair, like, cowlick, just random. I won't be able to make this happen on purpose, like, later, like, when I'm actually filming, so I'm just recording it now.